So Mandy and I we live in a new house. We recently bought a house, which is very exciting but stressful. And the refrigerator in our house, it kept things cold. It's gone now. He's dead, so I don't have to talk about him in the present tense. Kept things cold, but it was stanky.
He's dead.
He's dead. He got taken away. He's unplugged. No, he's dead. He's going to go get crushed up. So the guys show up. Honestly, the first guy, well, I spoiled some of it, but the first team that showed up to deliver our refrigerator, they show up and they assess the house. Our front door is real big, but there's a little door that goes in the kitchen that you can't bring the fridge through. So he looks at the garage, and finally he decides, okay, we got to drag this thing. We have a big back sliding door. We got to drag this thing around the side of the house through the side yard and then in the back door. That's the way it'll fit easiest. And so we have 2 side yards because I'm filthy rich. Not a one side yard house. We got 2 whole side yards. And they decide to go through the really narrow one. I look at it and I'm like, I don't think that's gonna fit, guys. And he looks at it and he measures it and he's like, no, it'll fit. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I really don't think that's gonna fit, but like, this is their job. It's fine. Just do what you're gonna do. And they start trying to get it through the gate. There's like a gate that swings open, and the gate is swung all the way open up against the gas meter. But I just see like it's not quite gonna fit. Like it's like an inch too big.
Yeah.
And the guys are there and they're like, no, it's gonna fit. The way it goes through the gate, the back of the fridge is scraped up the whole gate. Each little step they're taking, the fridge on the fence is just like and I'm standing here watching, just like, okay. And they get it through, they get all the way to the backyard before they're about to bring it inside the house. And I look at the front of it and there's a huge dent in it. And the guy does that thing where he looks and he's like, it's not a dent. These things are padded. It's fine. And I like touch it and I'm like, no, dude, that's a dent. It's clearly a dent. And he like licks his thumb and rubs it and like, now that'll buff out. And man, did they not give a fuck about that fridge once it was damaged. So how it barely fit through the gate the first time. On the way out, they were just like, gosh, get it out. Fuck, get out of here. Like, man, I thought they damaged my gate. So Manny and I wake up the next morning. The house was like completely unheated. Nothing at all. Apparently, on a lot of gas meters, as a safety precaution, they put something on there that's called an earthquake detector.
They delivered a fridge so violently your house thought it was an earthquake?
Yes.
All right, cool. Just wanted clarity.
He gets there and I'm like, okay, so we already tried to deliver this. You guys can't come in through the front. There's a door that it won't fit through. So you kind of have to go around back. I'll show you. And he's like, what do you mean we can't come in through the front? Let me measure it. And like, fine. But also like, fuck you. And he measures the little door into the kitchen. He measures the garage door and he looks at me. He's like, oh yeah, it's definitely not going to fit through here. And I look at him and I'm like, do you want to see the side yard? We get over there and he's like, oh, I hope we can get through here. As we're casually strolling through this 3-foot tall, dead, thin grass. He's like, I don't know, can you trim this? So I open the gate to the side thing and they brave the jungle that is our side yard. After they spend 20 minutes cutting all of the 7 layers of packaging off the fridge out in the street, they come and they drag it around. And so we have a fridge in there and it already has a water line because it has an ice maker. And so you have to take it out to put the new one in. You have to pull it out. You have to undo the water line. He just unhooks the water and the water is just like sprayed, and he just kinks the line real quick. And he holds it up to me and is like, I'm going to need you to hold this so we can finish. And so I'm standing in my own kitchen holding a water line with a bucket under it because it's even kinked off. It's still dripping, right? So I'm holding a little bucket to make sure we don't get any water everywhere. And I'm just standing there with the stupid kinked hose that I can't leave. And I just hear from the backyard like, kerchink, whoosh. And then one guy goes, oh shit. And they just start rushing around. I stand there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes before I finally text Maddie and I'm like, I know you're busy, but some fucking terrible thing is happening. Like, please, you come just hold this so I can try and like help these idiots. I walk out there and there's water is erupting up out of the ground like a geyser has started gushing. I don't know what has happened. Apparently, they were going to drag it through wideways and apparently just fucking destroy this bush. But also apparently inside this bush is a PVC pipe coming out of the ground that's part of like the irrigation system. He just sees the bush and is like, fuck that bush. What he did was he dragged the fridge right through the bush and snapped off the fucking PVC pipe and there's just a geyser of water coming up out of the ground. And what they were doing when I went out there, which is apparently what they had been doing the whole 10 minutes, is one of them was standing there staring, like thinking, and the other one had the broken off PVC pipe. It was trying to like jam it back on, like it was just gonna slip right back on. They looked over at me and like blankly looked at me and gestured at the water and looked at the water and looked back at me like I'm gonna fucking fix it. There's no version of that that's not just so fucking stupid that it makes me unbelievably angry. Finally, I'm like, we need to shut the water off to the house, you fucking idiot. The guy who seemed to be in charge of this was like, right, the water main. And he handed me the pipe and was like, hold this on there. I like took it from him and I did it for a minute, but I was standing there like, this isn't doing anything. And this dude is just like wanging away on it with a wrench and sprayed it with WD-40. Every step of the way, they were like, it's not turning. Both turn and look at me. What do we do? And I'm standing here like, this doesn't seem like how you install a frame. Finally, after a solid half hour of water fucking destroying my backyard, flooding our patio, I turn the water off and everything calms down for a second. Apparently, we're fucked at this point, right? We're just not going to have water for God knows how long. And I start talking to the dudes. They're almost done putting the fridge in. And the guy is like, well, there should be a way to turn off the, irrigation system, right? Should have a separate water supply. And I'm like, okay, where would that be? And he's like, I don't know, man. It's your house. This is a new house, man. I don't know. Like, do you have any ideas? And he's like, no, I don't know, man. It's different. Every house is different. But there should be one. Like, you just got to turn that off and you'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, are you going to help me turn that off? And he's like, well, we're almost done with the fridge and then we'll be out of your hair. Like, no. So you're going to leave me with no water and a theory about a valve that will fix my problems in the short term. I wander around. Eventually, I find a magical nozzle under a different spigot in an area I would never have guessed that turns off the water flow to the irrigation system, and we can have water in the house. Problem solved. Right as these guys are almost done with the fridge, I find this, and I come in and I'm like, hey, I think I found the thing. Like, is the fridge hooked up? Can I turn the water onto the house? And he's like, yeah. We're all good. He looked me right in my fucking eyes and was like, see, I told you there'd be a thing. This fucking guy who just ruined my entire morning, damaged my house, damaged an irrigation system that's probably so fucking old they don't even make replacement parts. And he looks me in my stupid bright red face and is like, see, I told you so. In that tone, I clenched my fists and my jaw and just went, and just walked out to the garage and turned the water on. As I'm coming back inside, these dudes are gone. They are gone. I come into the house. I'm standing at the sink in the kitchen. I'm looking out the front, and the dudes are like frantically like tossing their shit in the back of the truck, like tossing the tools, tossing the garbage that they had, the whatever, the clothes in the back. And I'm like, they can't be leaving. Don't I have to sign something saying that I accepted this expensive appliance? They're just going to leave it? They just fucking eat everything in the truck and get in that motherfucker and speed off. Not another word. They knew what the fuck they did. So right before we started this, Manny texted me from the other room and is like, hey, water's not coming out of the fridge. Is it supposed to be getting cold? The fridge isn't cold and it doesn't seem to be working. Like, if they set it up incorrectly, if they just stopped what they were doing, they were like, fuck, leave, fucking leave, get out of here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Do you still not know if your fridge works?
No.